yung chart mo. It's very powerful. You have that? That the one you
Mr.
showed
Chair, perhaps we
charting.
can ask
But anyway,
Director Glenn, what is the prevailing CIF price of broken, of well milled? And then you multiply by 20%. That is the expected reduction on the retail market.
Sir, sorry, sir. I don't have that data with me, sir.
No, but I think with the special with the import permit, or even customs, we can ask customs, ASCOM. Ano yung CIF price from Vietnam? Because the bulk of the importation comes from Vietnam.
Sir, I think most of the importers are follow naman po yung valuation sa live rice. So right now it should
Just
be,
give us a figure. Just give us a figure.
sir, estimated siguro sir mga per kilo mga in dollars should be about 0.510 in CIF na sir. Kasi ang presyo ngayon sir is
CIF na yon.
CIF na po yun.
USD
about $5.
CIF.
Yes sir. Let me
Okay.
let me double check sir with the data that I got sir. About 525 sir, or from Myanmar, and 556
5.25 times 59 times
0.525 per ton sir for Myanmar, and then 0.556.
How do you equate that in kilos? How many pesos per kilo? And then you multiply by 20%. That is the savings that Congresswoman Garin wants to know. Multiply lang natin sa 20%.
Mr. Chair.
That's the loss of the Philippine government.
Sir, yung meron kaming estimated revenue loss sir since
No, per kilo.
per kilo.
Multiply mo sa 20% lang kasi 35% was the usual rate. Now you reduce it by 15%, you lose 20%. But Congresswoman Garin wants to know the peso value per
So,
kilo.
Mr. Chair, if I may, no, with due
Yes.
courtesy to Kong Biron, yung term na ginamit ni Kong Biron na savings, just to laymanize, my very good friend, ang ibig sabihin ni Congressman Biron dun sa savings, actually, sinakripisyo yung buwis na mapupunta sa gobyerno dahil ito ang expected na ibababa ng presyo ng bigas. Tama po akong Ferge, right? Yes.
Yung savings na yan, na 20%, should go to the consumer, not into the pocket of the importer. Kasi ang nangyayari ngayon, Mr. Chairman, yung savings na yan that deprives the Philippine government of the revenues that it deserves goes to the importer, not it doesn't go to the consumer. Kasi yung 20% reduction na yon should go to the consumer, hindi sa negosyante. So that's why we want to exactly quantify how much is the peso value of the 20% reduction. From the cost, insurance, and freight, you only multiply 20% and you can get that peso value that should be the savings of every Filipino household per kilo of rice. So,
So, Mr.
Customs should have that data, ASCOM.
Sir, I'm verifying it, but rough computation, sir, it should be around 5 to 6 pesos per kilo.
So 5 to 6 pesos from the 20% reduction based on CIF.
Yes, sir.
All right. So,
Yeah.
Congresswoman Garin, yun ang savings na dapat ma-reduce ang presyo sa retail side. Thank you,
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman.
Maraming salamat, Congressman Ferge, no? Sana mahiram ko yung konting talino at So, Mr. Chair, balikan lang po natin, ba't po natin ito tinatanong? Dahil kailangang malaman ng sambayan ng Pilipino na yung buwis na binabayad ng mga negosyante ay kailangan dapat ng gobyerno. Pero sinakripisyo ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos yung buwis na ito para hindi na magbayad ng buwis ang negosyante, kontian, babaan ang buwis kasi ibabawas yon sa binabayad ng taong bayan dahil pagkain, bigas ang pinag-uusapan. So as we are getting the information, yung pagbaba ng taripa o pagbaba ng buwis ng 20%, ang expected na pagbaba ng presyo ng bigas ay 5 to 6 pesos per kilo. Tanong, bakit Mr. Chair, sang-ayon sa PSA, ang binaba ay 0.44 cents lamang po? Tila pinaglalaruan tayo ng mga kamay na hindi pa nakikita. Mr. Chair, I come from the health sector, no? At para lang malaman din ng taong bayan, ilang presidente ang narinig kong nagsabi, dadagdagan namin ang benepisyo sa PhilHealth. So example, kung ang benepisyo mo dati ay 5,000, mag-a-announce ang PhilHealth, okay, for medicines, we are giving you a medicine benefit of 7,000 pesos. So akala ng mga tao sa gobyerno na yung benepisyo ay napupunta sa mga pasyente. But actually, Mr. Chair, hindi. Bakit? Ang ginagawa kaagad, hindi naman lahat. Pero yung ibang hospital owners, ang gagawin nila ay tataasan nila ang presyo ng gamot kapag charged to PhilHealth. Example, kung itong antibiotic na ito, ang presyo pag bibilhin mo sa pharmacy ng hospital mismo ay 100 pesos. Kapag charged to PhilHealth, ginawa nilang 125 or 130 pesos kasi nag-increase ang benepisyo. Ganito rin ang tila nangyayari na senaryo. Ibig sabihin, ginagawa ng gobyerno ang lahat, subalit dun sa gitna ay merong mga negosyanteng kinakamkam ang dapat ay napupunta kay Juan at kay Maria. And this, Mr. Chair, should be pinpointed because it is actually vandalizing the intention of the government. So, Mr. Chair, with that, baka pwede nating tingnan kung saan napunta ang reduction ng buwis, sino ang nagbenepisyo dito, at sino ang dapat managot. Mr. Chair, my second topic was, I heard before, somebody mentioned, I'm not sure, it was Mr. Lionel, na napakamahal ng balanced diet sa Pilipinas. Tama?
That's right po, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Chair, will Mr. Lionel Tangangco agree with me when I say, kung babaan natin at damihan ang supply ng itlog, this will actually solve one of our biggest problems on stunting, malnutrition, and a balanced diet.
It would help po, Your Honor, as yung egg is a good source of protein and also a lot of other micronutrients that are needed by growing children and pregnant mothers po.
Will you agree with me, Mr. Chair, when I say na kapag ang tao ay kumakain ng 2 itlog araw-araw, hahaba ang buhay niya at mas magiging matalino siya?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, hindi po ako doctor, but I might defer to the FNRI, ma'am, or to yourself po. Yeah. I'm an economist po by training, but
But Mr. Chair, because that is the case, pinag-iisipan natin, baboy, karne, okay naman ang mga baboy, okay ang isda, okay ang karne. But if we talk about affordability, as of the current moment, one of the biggest sources of the Philippines for protein is actually egg or itlog. So may I ask, Mr. Chair, the Department of Agriculture, where are we in terms of egg sufficiency? Yung itlog na may protina, hindi po yung ibang klaseng... Not the egg that produces 100% protein.
Mr. Chair, if I may, first let me agree with the chair that egg is indeed probably the most affordable source of protein. And we have various sources of eggs, but we are yet to hit the right number. Because right now we only produce, if I'm not mistaken, less than 10 million eggs a day.
Sorry, less than?
10 million eggs a day.
10 million eggs per day. How many Filipinos? So we are 110 million Filipinos.
Yes.
Sabihin na natin, let's say, ilan ang pwede nang kumain ng itlog? Kasi bata pwede nang kumain ng itlog. Sabihin mo, 80 million.
Of course, we're very far from the ideal number of at least 7 eggs a day.
So, Mr. Chair, what are the problems besetting the egg production industry in the Philippines?
Well, the chair mentioned that a big part of it is structural, and I tend to agree with that. The other reason is the efficiency level is yet to be achieved. And the department and Congress is working on that because we're in the process of putting together a new law, the Animal Industry Development Act, which is intended to, number one,
Talaga.
develop the livestock industry so that it will be able to support and provide the necessary protein for our people. You mentioned egg, but let me also emphasize about the milk. The Philippines only supplies less than 1% of the milk requirement of our people. And so that is included in the plan of DA to increase the number of our dairy animal para po dumami rin yung ating gatas. So dalawa po yon. Isa po yung gatas at isa po yung ang itlog. And I think both of these nutrients are, sorry to mention,
Yung question ko pa, hindi.
were never a priority before. And this is now a priority of the Department of Agriculture.
There it goes, Mr. Chair. Okay. Very quickly lang and to wrap up. Meron tayong dalawang yaman na dapat nga lang ay talagang bilisan ng Department of Agriculture ang pagtulong sa sektor na ito, gatas at saka itlog. We are producing 10 million eggs per day, but our demand is roughly around
70.
70 is 1 egg per day. But the requirement is 2 eggs. Kaya nga ginawang 2 itlog ng Diyos. Dahil 2 itlog ang kailangan ng bawat tao araw-araw. I mean, to delay dementia, to delay other illnesses. So it's 2 eggs per day. So we need 140 million eggs per day. And if we have milk, mababawasan yan. So Mr. Chair, to wrap up, yung nasabi ng ating butihing colleague na si Kong Briones, he mentioned about, ano nga ba yun? Mechanically deboned meat. Ang ibig po sabihin nun, yung mga buto ay kinikis-kis at minamash para yung mga tira-tira na yon ay ibenta na parang karne dito sa Pilipinas. We are importing that, but actually that is not really good protein. At supposedly, halos kapareho lang, mas mura pa nga ang itlog compared to the products of mechanically deboned meat, which are the sausages, itong mga the processed foods. In other words, Mr. Chair, kailangan na talagang tutukan. Example, sinabi yung structural efficiency. Dahil kung yung mga farmers natin na nagproduce ng itlog ay hindi tutulungan, madaling mabasag yung kanilang mga itlog. At kung madaling mabasag yan, madaling mabulok, malulugi sila. Then we need to subsidize and help them. So Mr. Chair, una, itlog at gatas, ano ang plano natin dyan? Pangalawa, sino-sino ang walang puso at hindi makatarungan na ang layunin ng Pangulong Bongbong Marcos na bawasan ng 5 hanggang 6 na piso ang bawat kilo ng bigas. Ang nangyari ay nabawasan ng 44 cents per kilo at yung 5 piso ay napunta sa bulsa ng iilang tao. So Mr. Chair, in the subsequent hearings that we will be conducting, may I appeal to our 5 good chairperson that we also give focus on the accountability of those people who paved way for that so that we set an example that government is serious in bringing down the cost of food and at the same time we focus on more egg and better egg production. Maraming salamat po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, yan ako lang tungkol sa...
She's not referring to your eggs.
May correction lang tayo gusto.
Okay.
Kasi yung production ng eggs, doon lang sa aming bayan, sa San Jose, Batangas, ang tawag egg basket of the Philippines. We are producing 12 million eggs a day. So, yung 10 million na production na nationwide, mukhang
Yeah,
dapat check dahil sa amin lang 12 million eggs a day. At
Lionel,
nagpapasalamat ako kay
Can you check that?
kung Garin at na-promote ang egg, which is very true. Pinakamurang protein na pwedeng kainin ng ating mamamayan. Ang 2 eggs a day talagang hindi makakabuti, hindi makakasama. Ay, doktor yung nagsabi, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, may I call on the next? So, thank you for waiting. Congresswoman Revilla.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po sa lahat po ng resource persons natin. Kanina nung pinakita po ng ating mahal na chairperson, yung graph na mas mababa ang presyo ng bigas sa world market at mas mataas ang presyo ng bigas dito sa Pilipinas. At sinabi ng ating mahal na Pangulo na gusto niyang pababain ang presyo ng bigas dito sa ating bansa for the several months ago. Ano ang pumipigil sa ahensya ng gobyerno na nasa harapan natin ngayon na hindi sundin ang sinasabi ng ating mahal na Pangulo at ayaw sundin ang presyo ng world market?
Paying to me.
I would like to address that question to Yusek Asis Perez.
Mr. Chair, thank you for the question. We would like to intervene in the market prices. And the way that we can legally do it is to set up Kadiwa centers all over the country para meron pong panlaban yung gobyerno sa mga matataas na presyo. Halimbawa po, if we can set one Kadiwa in every municipality, nagbebenta ng 40 pesos na bigas, ang theory po doon, susunod po yung mga katabi. Kasi otherwise po, sa amin bibili lahat. So that's one way to more or less cushion the impact of what we would like to refer to as manipulative pricing. No? It's not my word, naririnig ko po yon. Pangalawa po, syempre, kailangan ang department step up pa namin yung effort to make our farmers more efficient in producing food. Siyempre po, pagka po mas mura yung production cost nila, pwede po nilang ibenta rin ng mas mura yung kanilang produce. Pangatlo po, na ginagawa po natin ngayon, isave po natin yung nasasayang. Dahil sa ngayon po sa ating mga pag-aaral, between 10 to 35% of whatever we produce, we lost because of post-harvest inefficiencies. Kaya po pag mapapansin po natin, Mr. Chair and Madam Congresswoman, medyo binago po natin yung ating budget. Hindi po tayo nakatutok sa isang commodity lang, kundi nakatutok tayo after the commodity is produced. Ang pang-apat po na ginagawa natin, we somehow has to intervene in the market. In a way na hindi naman po mag-violate din ng batas na because government is not supposed to engage in trade. But we can support MSMEs, padamihin po natin sila, kaya po yung programa natin nakatutok sa value chain. Hindi lang po yung production, kundi hanggang makarating po yung ating pagkain sa ating mga consumers. And so the Secretary po has a 9-point program that we would like to implement in the next 3 years. Inaprubahan na po ito ni Pangulo, na yun po yung pamamaraan natin para ma-address po natin yung problema na ito na long term. Thank you po, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Chair, nakakailang Kadiwa centers na ho kayo na regular na bukas? Kasi I understand may mga Kadiwa centers ho kayo na weekend lang or isang araw lang, 2 araw lang. Ano ho yung ilan na ho ang permanenteng Kadiwa centers nationwide?
Sa ngayon po, meron pa lang tayong 118 regular centers, but we also are working on yung mga weekend centers. And eventually, our goal po is to cover the entire country.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. May statement po kayo sa report nyo that actually report ito ng ating mahal na chairperson. Farmers are hungrier than non-farmers. Napakasakit po nito sa mga magsasaka ho natin dahil sila naman ho talaga ang dapat nating pangalagaan. Actually, alam ko DA is encouraging our young farmers to continue the trade that their forefathers have started. Dahil marami na ho ngayong young farmers ang ayaw nang maging magsasaka dahil palugi ang merkado. Ano ang ginagawa ninyo ng DA to encourage more farmers to last in this trade at mas dumami pa sila sa mga susunod na taon? Dahil nakakalungkot man sabihin, marami ho sa ating mga magsasaka ang binebenta na ho ang kanilang mga lupain sa mga developers dahil ayaw na nilang magsaka. Pinapatayan sila ng tubig, pinapatayan sila ng kuryente para hindi may pagpatuloy ang kanilang trabaho dahil gustong magkaroon ng mas maraming subdivisions. Anong masasabi niyo po dito, Mr. Chair?
Mr. Chair, I share your views. The department is cognizant of this problem. Kaya po ang tutok namin ay magkaroon ng tamang presyo ng produkto, hindi po murang presyo. Magkaiba po kasi yung tamang presyo kaysa murang presyo eh. Prices should not be cheap. It should be fair. So, each time we look at prices, we have to look at it at two levels. One is from the producer's perspective, and the other one from the consumer's perspective. When we talk about right pricing, the right pricing should happen at the level of the farm. Para po, hindi po yung mura nga po yung presyo sa farm, pero mahal naman po yung presyo sa palengke. Kasi lalabas po nun, may kumikita po sa gitna, hindi po yung farm. That is our aspiration right now. The department is making sure that our investments are geared towards efficiency and prevention of losses so that the farmers and the entire value chain will benefit equitably in the chain. Hindi po namin pwedeng sabihin na mawala po yung trader. Pero kailangan po, yung benepisyo po ng pagkain na ito, yung processing ng chain na ito, dapat equitable yung distribution. And we view that we can only increase the number of our farmers if and only if we can make sure that they justly benefit from the value of whatever they produce. So it's conceptual, pero sa operations po, ginagawa na po namin ito.
Mr. Chair, ano na ho ang ideal price? Therefore, na dapat natin bilhin o dapat bilhin ng gobyerno o ng trader sa isang magsasaka sa ngayon para ma-maintain natin yung fair value price ng bigas na binibili po ng isang consumer. Nang hindi nalulugi naman ang farmer, hindi rin ho nalulugi ang merkado.
Opo. Base po sa aming karanasan at aming pag-aaral, kung halimbawa po ang magsasaka ay mabibili yung kanyang palay between 19 to 20 pesos na fresh. Fresh po, yung fresh. O kaya naman between 23 to 25 po na dry. Dapat po ang presyo ng ating bigas ay mga 40 pesos. So yun na po yung, kasi ang markup na po doon mga around 4 to 5 pesos. Mga 4 to 5 pesos po dapat yung markup. So yun po yung aming computation sa ngayon, more or less ganun po dapat.
Salamat po para at least more or less hindi na ho nag-aspire ang Pilipino na maging 20 pesos ang bigas. At least galing na ho sa inyo mismo na ang pinaka-ideal na presyo umabot ng 40 pesos para hindi palugi ang farmer, para hindi rin malugi ang merkado. Tama po ba ako, Mr. Chair?
Ang binagabanggit po namin ay base po sa karanasan ngayon na sa tingin po namin kung masyado pong bababa naman ang presyo, hindi po natin ma-achieve yung balanse na ang farmer po naman natin ay magtatanim. Kagaya po ngayon pong panahon na ito, ang ating pong mga magsasaka ay, ang mga presyo po ngayon ay naglalaro mula 15 hanggang 18 piso po ang presyo ng palay. So pag bababa pa po siya doon, malamang po maapektuhan yung planting intentions ng ating mga magsasaka. And so we are balancing it po, Madam Chair.
Mr. Chair, isang concern po, yung batas natin sa supply and demand. Panay-panay po ang bagyo sa ating bansa. Nakadiskubre na ho ba ang DA ng tamang palay na dapat nating itanim sa tamang season para hindi po rin tayo nauubusan ng bigas at nag-i-import po tayo kung saan-saan?
Unfortunately, we are yet. But we are doing something about it. Ang una po na ginagawa namin ngayon ay binabago po natin yung planting calendar. Dapat po talaga yung ating pong bagyo, base po sa ating karanasan at sa datos po na accumulate natin in the last 50 years, yung pong bagyo ay nangyayari towards the last quarter of each year. More or less, ganun po yung trend nun. So dapat po, walang masyadong harvest sa ganung panahon. Dapat ma-timing po natin yung ating harvest. Unfortunately, we're yet to irrigate most of our land. And that's the only way that we can schedule our planting period. In that regard po, we need at least 1 trillion to irrigate the remaining 1.5 million of irrigable land. Kasi meron po tayong pwede pang i-irrigate sana na 1.5 million hectares of possible irrigable land. So pag gano'n na po, tapos magagawa na po natin yung tinatawag nating proper planting period dahil may irrigation po tayo, then ma-achieve po natin yung pare-pareho nating pangarap. Right now, yun po ay option natin. Pangalawa po, yung mechanization na ginagawa po natin. Kasi alam po natin, malaki po kasi yung labor component ng ating rice production. So, yun din po halimbawang pag-mechanize po ng pag-harvest, napakalaking tulong po noon dahil pagka nga po masama yung panahon, kailangan po mabilisan yung harvest. Kung manual po yun, hindi po talaga natin ma-harvest. So, madami po tayong masasayang. So the mechanization of harvesting is something that DA is pushing forward to save po yung ating mga palay para kung dadating nga po yung bagyo, madali po nating ma-harvest kaagad. So those are some of the ideas that we have. And of course, yung post-harvest facility, yung rice mill po natin ngayon, hindi po optimal yung kanyang paggiling ng palay. So, ang sabi po ng PSA dati, 65% po yung recovery. But now, I think they are recalculating 62% na lang po. 63. Ibig sabihin, mas maliit talaga yung recovery. Pero kung malalagay ho natin lahat, modernize lang po natin yung rice mill natin, so aabot po siguro between 65 to 67% po yung recovery natin. By investing in better rice mills, then we can already increase efficiency and therefore bring down prices. So those are some of the ideas po. And of course, planting intensity, yung binabanggit niyo po kanina, wala pa po tayong nadidiscover na kayang lumaban sa bagyo. Pero ang gagawin po natin, mas shorter po dapat yung planting period. Nasa halip po na 2 beses ka lang mag-ani, hanggang maari po, 2.5 times ka mag-ani. And that is a combination of technology and advancement in the seeds. And that is what we are working on po ngayon. Madam Chair. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Just one question na lang
It's
po,
okay.
Mr. Chair. I would like to direct, I don't know which agency should answer this. Kasi alam ko ginagawa ng trabaho ng DA ang pagsalakay sa mga smugglers, pagpunta sa mga factories kung saan nag-hoard at kung saan may overpricing na nangyayari. But are there cases being filed against these hoarders, these smugglers? Kasi maganda ang balita minsan pumupunta kayo kasama ang law enforcement agencies, pero meron na ba tayong napakulong, nabigyan ng proper legal judgment on these smugglers?
Carlos?
Mr. Chair.
Ma'am, Mr. Chair, ma'am, meron na yung isa sa malaki earlier this year, no? Nakakulong na actually ngayon, ma'am. It was also a big time onion importer. Meron madami hong mga nasa rice naman na nahuhuli ang DA. But again, it's up to the regulatory agencies and the law enforcement agencies to file the case, ma'am.
Do we have any representatives here coming from the Department of Justice or the PNP who you say should be the ones filing cases?
May I direct the COMSEC to please include the members of the enforcement, because the DA is not part of the enforcement. The BOC is not part of the enforcement. I don't know why I was not part of this law. So it's NBI, PNP, Philippine Coast Guard, and DOF. So for some reason, the guys who should be responsible are not part of the enforcement. So, but they're part of the council. So the COMSEC is hereby directed to invite the NBI, PNP, Philippine Coast Guard, because they are responsible for the enforcement of this law.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, for that.
But DA is not.
Okay.
What a law.
Marami pong salamat. So definitely we should include them in this law, and of course to shed light on the implementation of this law. Kasi kailangan po talaga natin ay ngipin kahit anong kagustuhan nating pababain ang presyo ng bigas at kung ano-ano pang mga bilihin. Kung walang enforcement at wala pong nakukulong at wala pong nahahatulan, bali wala po itong ginagawa natin. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Thank you very much for the time.
Mr. Chair?
Who is that? May I, you? Okay. Our co-chair, Congresswoman Quaresma.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Magandang hapon po sa inyong lahat. So, earlier, you presented about the 29 pesos per kilo of rice. But the implementing agency, I think, is the NIA. I know that because in the Lone District of Nueva Vizcaya, nagtitinda na po sila. They're going around our municipalities. And one municipality was allocated of 1,000 bags, depende po sa population. Something like that. Maganda yun na programa. Can we not expand para hindi bitin? Imagine that 10 kilos bag of rice is only 290 pesos. But the problem is, ang inyong binebentahan are only the vulnerable sector, like yung sa purpose, senior citizen, at PWDs, something like that. Pwede bang dagdagan ng gobyerno itong 29 pesos para malapit na dun sa 20 pesos na sinasabi natin? Ang dami pong natuwa, Mr. Chair. Alam ko, even in your district, ganyan.
Before Asis will answer, may I recognize Congressman Boy Cruz and Congressman Arco, and of course, Senior Deputy Speaker, Congressman Dong Gonzales. Asis, can you answer that? Can we universalize the NIA scheme?
It's both NIA and Kadiwa program po. May convergence po ang NIA at saka yung Kadiwa natin.